As Benson drove home that night, his mind was restless. He replayed Toyosi's letter in his head over and over again. The words cut deep, and for the first time in years, he felt regret. How did I let things get so bad? He thought to himself. Sabina, the kids, Toyosi. The streets were quiet as he drove, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. He couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in his chest. Suddenly, his phone buzzed on the passenger seat. Glancing at it briefly, he saw a string of notifications. "Debit alert?" he muttered, picking up the phone at the next red light. He quickly unlocked it and opened his banking app. His eyes widened in shock as he saw multiple transactions draining his account. "What is going on?" he whispered, scrolling through the transactions. The amounts were massive, and he couldn't understand where the money was going. Another notification buzzed, another debit, then another. "No, no, no!" Benson shouted, gripping the phone tightly. "This can't be happening!" In his panic, he didn't notice the green light. The cars behind him honked, snapping him out of his daze. He dropped the phone onto the passenger seat and started driving again, but his mind was racing. "Who is taking my money? How is this happening?" he muttered, glancing at his phone again. As he tried to make sense of it, his hand slipped on the wheel. His heart skipped a beat as he lost control of the car. He slammed his foot on the brake, but nothing happened. "No, no, no!" he screamed, frantically turning the wheel. The brakes had failed. The car skidded off the road, and before Benson could react, it crashed into a pole with a loud bang. The sound of shattering glass and crunching metal filled the air. Everything went black. It was late at night, and the street was mostly deserted. A few passers-by heard the crash and rushed to the scene. "Someone's inside the car!" a man shouted, running toward the wreck. Another man joined him. "Quick, help me open the door!" They managed to pry the door open and carefully pulled Benson out of the car. Blood trickled down his forehead, and his body was limp. "He's unconscious," one of the men said. "We need to get him to the hospital now." "Let's use my car," another man offered. Together, they carried Benson to the waiting car and rushed him to the nearest hospital. At the hospital, Benson was immediately taken to the emergency room. Doctors and nurses worked quickly to stabilize him. His injuries were severe, and he had lost a lot of blood. "He's in critical condition," one of the doctors said. "We need to monitor him closely." After several hours of surgery and treatment, Benson was placed in the intensive care unit. He remained unconscious, hooked up to machines that monitored his vitals. Meanwhile, at home, Sabina was completely unaware of what had happened. She had long stopped worrying about Benson's whereabouts, as he rarely kept in touch or informed her of his plans. Probably out with another woman, she thought bitterly as she tucked Anita and Joseph into bed. "Good night, Mummy," Anita said sleepily. "Good night, my angel," Sabina replied, kissing her forehead. Joseph yawned. "Good night, Mummy. I love you." "I love you too, my baby," Sabina said with a smile. She closed their bedroom door and sighed deeply. Her life had become peaceful since she started her business and focused on her children, but there was still a small ache in her heart when she thought about her broken marriage. Days passed, and Benson remained in a coma. The hospital staff checked on him regularly, hoping for signs of improvement. One afternoon, a nurse noticed his fingers twitching slightly. She called the doctor, who confirmed that Benson was beginning to regain consciousness. Hours later, Benson opened his eyes slowly, blinking against the harsh hospital lights. His head throbbed, and his body felt heavy. Where am I?" he croaked, his voice weak. A nurse approached his bedside. "You're in the hospital, sir. You were in a car accident." Benson winced as he tried to move. "An accident?" "Yes," the nurse said gently. "You've been unconscious for several days. You're lucky to be alive." Benson's mind raced as he tried to piece everything together. The accident, the debit alerts, the poll. It all came back to him in fragments. Has anyone come for me? He asked weakly, his heart sinking. The nurse hesitated before replying, "No, sir. No one has come." Benson closed his eyes, the weight of her words hitting him like a punch to the gut. No one had come for him. Not Sabina, not his children, not even Toyosi. "Do you have anyone we can contact?" the nurse asked. Benson nodded slightly. My wife. Her name is Sabina." The nurse wrote down Sabina's name and contact information as Benson provided it. "We'll reach out to her," she said reassuringly. "Thank you," Benson whispered, his voice barely audible. As the nurse left the room, Benson stared at the ceiling, tears streaming down his face. He had always thought he could do whatever he wanted, that his actions wouldn't catch up with him. But now, lying in a hospital bed alone, he realized how wrong he had been. "Sabina," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I'm so sorry." Back at home, Sabina was busy preparing dinner for the children when her phone rang. She wiped her hands on a towel and picked it up. "Hello?" she said, her voice curious. "Good evening, ma'am. Is this Mrs. Sabina Benson?" "Yes, this is Sabina," she replied, frowning slightly. "Who's calling?" "This is Dr. Andrew from City Hospital," the voice on the other end said. "Your husband, Mr. Benson, was involved in a car accident and is currently in our care." Sabina froze, the spoon in her hand clattering to the floor. "A car accident?" she repeated, her heart pounding. "Yes," the doctor confirmed. "He's stable now, but was in a coma for several days. He gave us your contact information and asked us to reach out to you." Sabina didn't know how to respond. Part of her wanted to rush to the hospital, but another part of her felt numb. Benson had caused her so much pain. Did she still owe him her care? "Thank you for letting me know," she said finally. "I'll think about what to do." As she hung up the phone, Sabina sat down heavily on the kitchen stool, her mind racing. "Mummy, is everything okay?" Anita asked, peeking into the kitchen. Sabina forced a smile. "Yes, my love. Everything is fine. Go back to your room." As Anita left, Sabina leaned back in her chair, her emotions swirling. She didn't know what decision she would make, but one thing was clear. This was a turning point for her and her family. The next morning, Sabina prepared herself to visit the hospital. She couldn't sleep all night, her thoughts torn between the pain Benson had caused her and the image of him lying helpless in a hospital bed. Despite everything, he was still the father of her children, and she couldn't bring herself to ignore his condition. When she arrived at the hospital, she hesitated outside Benson's room. Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open and stepped inside. There he was, lying on the hospital bed, looking weak and frail. The sight tugged at her heart, and for a moment, she forgot all the anger she had carried for so long. Benson turned his head slowly and saw her. His eyes lit up with a mixture of relief and guilt. "Sabina," he whispered, his voice hoarse. Sabina didn't respond. She simply stood there, her face expressionless. After a moment, she walked out of the room to find the doctor. Dr. Andrew greeted her warmly. "Mrs. Benson, thank you for coming. Your husband has been asking about you." "How is he?" Sabina asked, her tone calm but distant. The doctor adjusted his glasses and explained, "He's stable now, but the accident caused significant injuries to his legs. It will take time for him to regain full mobility. For now, he'll need a wheelchair, and with physical therapy, he should be able to walk again in a few months." Sabina nodded, processing the information. "Thank you, doctor. Please let me know if there's anything else I need to do." Dr. Andrew smiled. "Your presence here means a lot. It will aid his recovery." During her visits to the hospital, Sabina made sure to keep her children away from the situation. She took Anita and Joseph to Jennifer's house, where they stayed temporarily. Jennifer noticed the strain on Sabina's face and pulled her aside one afternoon. "Sabina, how are you holding up?" Jennifer asked gently. Sabina sighed, her shoulders sagging. "I'm doing my best, Jennifer. It's not easy, but I have to be strong, for the kids." Jennifer placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You've always been strong, Sabina. Just take it one day at a time, and if you need help, you know I'm here." "Thank you," Sabina said with a faint smile. A few days later, Benson was discharged from the hospital. Sabina arranged for transportation to bring him home. He sat silently in the wheelchair, his face filled with shame as they arrived at the house. Once inside, Sabina helped him settle in without saying much. Benson tried to meet her eyes, but she avoided his gaze. "Sabina," he said softly, his voice trembling. She ignored him, focusing on adjusting the pillows on the couch where he would sit. "Sabina, please, I'm so sorry," Benson continued, tears streaming down his face. "I know I've hurt you. I know I've failed as a husband and a father. But please, forgive me." Sabina stood up and looked at him briefly. "You should rest," she said curtly, before walking away. Over the next few days, Sabina continued to care for Benson, ensuring he had everything he needed. But she refused to engage in any conversation beyond what was necessary. Benson, on the other hand, couldn't stop crying and begging for her forgiveness. "I'm sorry, Sabina," he said one evening as she placed his dinner tray in front of him. "I know I don't deserve your kindness, but I'm truly sorry. Please, just give me a chance to make things right." Sabina didn't respond. She turned and walked away, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. One afternoon, after weeks of Benson's constant apologies, Sabina sat in the living room, staring out the window. Benson wheeled himself over to her, his face pale and his eyes red from crying. "Sabina," he said quietly. She turned to look at him, her expression softening slightly. "What is it, Benson? Please, can we talk?" he asked, his voice breaking. "I need to tell you how sorry I am. I need to make things right." Sabina sighed deeply, tears welling up in her eyes. She gestured for him to sit closer. "All right," she said softly. "Let's talk." Benson began to speak, his words pouring out like a flood. "Sabina, I've been a terrible husband and father. I took you for granted. I lied, I cheated, and I abandoned you and the kids. I don't even know how to begin to make up for everything I've done, but I promise you, I'll spend the rest of my life trying." Sabina's tears flowed freely now. "Do you know how much pain you caused me, Benson?" she said, her voice trembling. "For years, I cried myself to sleep, wondering why my husband didn't love me anymore. I watched our children suffer because you refused to take care of them. I begged for money just to feed them while you spent everything on another woman." Benson hung his head, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "I'm sorry, Sabina. I'm so sorry. I've learned my lesson, and I promise to be a better man. Please, just give me one more chance." Sabina looked at him for a long moment, her heart torn. Finally, she reached out and took his hand. "Benson," she said softly, "I don't know if I can ever forget what you did, but for the sake of our children, I'm willing to try. If you're truly ready to change, then let's start over." Benson nodded, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you, Sabina. I swear I'll never let you down again." The next day, Sabina went to Jennifer's house to bring Anita and Joseph home. The children were excited to see their mother and couldn't stop asking questions. "Mummy, is Daddy home now?" Anita asked eagerly. "Yes, my love," Sabina replied. "Daddy is home, and he's waiting to see you." When they arrived home, Benson was sitting in his wheelchair in the living room. His eyes lit up when he saw the children. "Daddy!" Anita and Joseph shouted, running toward him. Benson opened his arms and they hugged him tightly. "My babies," he said, his voice choked with emotion. I've missed you so much." Anita looked up at him. "Daddy, are you okay now?" "I will be," Benson said, stroking her hair. "And I promise to take care of you and your brother from now on." Joseph smiled brightly. "We love you, Daddy." "I love you too," Benson said, tears streaming down his face. Sabina watched the scene unfold, her heart full of hope. For the first time in years, her family felt whole again. As the days turned into weeks, Benson worked hard to regain Sabina's trust. He attended therapy sessions, helped with the children, and supported Sabina's business. Slowly but surely, their family began to heal. And though the scars of the past remained, they faced the future together, stronger than ever. Moral lesson: cheating and abandoning one's family lead to pain, regret, and broken relationships. A family thrives on love, trust, and responsibility. When a person neglects their duties as a spouse or parent, they not only hurt their loved ones, but also risk losing everything they hold dear. True happiness comes from valuing and supporting your family, being faithful, and nurturing the bond that holds you together. No material wealth or fleeting pleasures can replace the joy of a united and loving home. Thank you for watching this story on Afro Tales TV. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and share with friends and family. We have more beautiful stories coming your way. So subscribe and stay tuned. See you in the next one.